United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Next order of business will be roll call.
David Pruitt.
Here.
Bart Shockley.
Here.
Tim Turney.
Here.
Ken Winkfield.
Here.
Tandy Pryor. Here.
We have a quorum. Next order of business will be the minutes from August the 4th. They've been presented to you. You will seek a motion to approve, alter.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve August 4th, 2025 minutes as submitted.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made and second. Any discussion, changes? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next order of business is application number 10-012-2025. Steve Essop has filed for a variance application on a tract of land being 1.5 acres. Would you like to upgrade us? Tell us about this.
I think it's most appropriate to let the applicant introduce it, but I will just say that this is a sign variance, 58.44 square foot variance from the maximum wall sign standard, a highway business zone, and I guess I'd direct you to the staff report for its criteria for variances. That starts on page 3 and asks you to find extraordinary conditions on the property which justify the granting of the variance. And that's much in keeping with the statute. But is someone here to present this matter tonight? If you'd please
Go ahead.
approach.
Step forward. Just state your name, please.
Turn the mic on.
Turn the mic on, please.
Steve Estep. We're requesting this variance. We're adding a Freddy's Steak Burgers and Custards restaurant at the location. So today it's a convenience store with a Little Caesars Express, and then we'll be adding the Freddy's. And we just want to get to Freddy's, standard sign package. It'll be very well done, be, very, clean and organized, and we, try not to put too many signs up at our convenience stores, in the windows or anything like that, but we like to do this professional type signage, and so it's just kind of their standard package is what we're putting up.
Okay. Board members, are there any questions? Thank you very much. If there are anyone in the audience care to speak to this issue? Seeing none. Board members, we will seek a motion to, first of all, let's close the hearing. Now we'll seek a motion to approve or deny the variance.
Mr. Chair, I did want to ask Mr. Estep, and I'm sorry we let you sit down. If I could ask you to come back up again. You talk about Freddy's typical sign package. Is that in keeping with other signage in the same general vicinity?
Yes, it'll just, the only sign that we're at is above the front door. Mm-hmm. That's the only one that's really different.
It's not on the side.
There is signage on the side, but it's within all the guidelines on that side. So it would just, the sign, if we had to go with what we had now, it would just be really tiny. And basically, with a C-store as big, and the way that building is built, if we had put little tiny signs on it, it wouldn't look right anyway. So it really just fits the building.
Well, what I'm asking about is what other buildings in the area have in terms of signage. Will it stand out drastically from them?
No, it'll be in line with everything else.
All right.
Thank
you very much.
Steve is on now. If
Okay.
you want to ask him any questions.
Steve, we're just finished. The applicant gave his testimony, and we were just getting ready to seek a motion. Did you want to add anything?
I don't think he's here.
All right. Well, we're going to keep on going. Board members, we will seek a motion to approve or deny this request.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to approve the request for 58.44 square foot wall sign variance on the property located at 1031 Tyrone Pike. The testimony has been presented in a public hearing that has shown that the granting of this variance meeting the criteria set for the Article 4, Section 406 of the zoning ordinance and case RS 100.243.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion is made second. Any other discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I wonder if Mr. Wingfield, Ms. Pryor would add these justifications that the strict application of the reg would prevent having signs of the size required by the franchise, that the sign will not be unusual in its dimensions given the surrounding area, and that it will not be an unreasonable circumvention of the zoning regulation. Is that agreeable?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So made. Motion's been made second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Next order of business is application number 10-013-2025. Lamar Company LLC has filed a variance application on a tract of land containing 2.755 acres. Steve, you want to update everyone?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. I was having a problem on my end. Yeah, this variance application is a little bit different. You heard the applicant is Lamar, but the property owner, as you look at page 1 of your staff report, is actually the city of Versailles. There's a strip of land here that's just kind of north and west of Advance Auto there. Kim's showing you a slide. If you kind of move to the next slide, you can see that blue strip right there. That is actually a strip of land that runs from a property there that Advance Auto's on all the way up to Douglas. So its actual address is 380 Douglas Avenue, even though that strip mostly fronts on US 60. That property is all one track years ago, and then that property was conveyed to the city because there's a walking trail through it. So that's how it became the city's property. If you go to the next slide, we're back to the zoning map, and that billboard is a current billboard that sits on the industrial footprint just west of, north and west of that B4. So that property is 2.775. Again, on page 1, there's a shot of the billboard that sits there right by Advance. It's been there several years. And again, it was a prior owner's property. Lamar leases to have that billboard put on that property. And then it was inherited by the city, so the city's the property owner. What the applicant's asking for is a very kind of odd variance that maybe, or maybe has never heard. Excuse me. They're asking for what's called a changeable copy sign variance. And we'll go over that a little bit on page 2, but the page 1 of your staff report kind of describes what they're asking for. They want to make that entire panel that you're looking at there facing to the west a changeable copy or digital billboard style sign. So if you go to page 2 of your staff report, this kind of breaks down what the applicant's asking for. We have 2 provisions of the zoning ordinance that the applicant's asking the variance for. The first one's at the top of page 2, it's section 508(1)(c)(4), and it basically says that any particular sign face can only be 30% of that sign can be changeable copy. So whether they call it a digital sign or LED or electronic sign, what our current ordinance says is only 30% of the surface area of the sign can be digital. What that sort of appears to read is that was probably put in place for more standalone signs at shopping centers and whatnot. We've never had a billboard company come forward and say, we want to have an LED sign. Obviously, there's no way to take one of those billboard panels and just make 30% of it digital and the rest of it stay a traditional static sign. So the bottom of page 2 talks about off-premise signs, what we call billboard signs, and the verbiage for billboards starts at 508.3 and goes on to page 3 of your staff report. It doesn't say anything about changeable copy signs. It just says billboards. To put a billboard in our community, it just says where they go, what their setbacks are, and how big they can be. You got to go back to 508(1)(c)(4) for our rules on changeable signs. And these signs can be in any industrial or commercial zone, but there was nothing specific that says they're prohibited on a billboard or they're allowed on a billboard. But what obviously is the issue tonight is with a 30% cap on how much the sign can be digital or a changeable copy, the applicant Lamar is asking to go to 100% of that sign to be digital. So when you use these two sections together, you could interpret that 5081C4 was just for pole signs, but it doesn't say that. And then the billboard verbiage doesn't actually prohibit it, changeable copy signs. So when you use them together, for them to go above the 30%, they would need a variance to go beyond that. Page 3 of your staff report, 4, talk about variances, when they're allowed, the type of variances that are prohibited. On page 5, there's no staff items of concern. And again, the applicant submitted several exhibits that were in your packet at the end of your staff report related to this type of sign, how they change, how bright they are, that kind of stuff. And I'll let the applicant there from Lamar go into more details about that. I don't have anything else to add, but I'll be glad to answer any questions you all may have about the zoning ordinance and what it says in relation to what we call a changeable copy sign message.
Hey, Steve, I have a question, actually a couple of them. I'm concerned that on page 4,
Yes.
the permitted variances, and I am going strictly with what this says, that I'm not sure that they actually conform to either 1 or 2. And on 406.7, I'm not sure it's in direct violation of the extension of a non-conforming use by adding, going from 30 to 100%.
Yeah, those are good questions, and we'll let the applicant get up there, and this is their burden here to prove to you that they meet the requirements. I'm not sure I would call it the non-conforming sign, because the billboard is allowed in an industrial zone, and it currently is an industrial zone. It meets the requirements to be there. The question would be really on prohibited variances, is it number E, which is, I don't think it is. Could it be number D? Basically, that they're trying to get a variance for something they're not allowed to do. But what's so tricky about it is when you go back and read the verbiage of a billboard sign, it doesn't say what the type of panels can be. Are they backlit? Are they internally lit? Can they be LED? It just says for a billboard, this is where they go. But when you read 5081C4, and me and the applicant kind of went back and forth on this a little bit, I would interpret that the only way there could be a sign where one panel is 30% would be a typical pole sign where you have 3 or 4 panels. Let's call it a Hardy sign. We don't have one. And the Hardy sign's up there, then they have a menu board that changes below it. And what our ordinance is saying, when we have a standalone sign, then no more than 30% of all those panels, whether it be 1 panel or 4 or 5 panels, can be changeable copy. But it doesn't say it's not allowed in the off-premise. And in addition to that, I did put the deed in your packet. The deed that is in, that was inherited by the city from the original owner, talks about this sign is there. It belongs, it's being leased, and it talks about that it could be a changeable sign in the future. Now that doesn't mean it matches with the zoning ordinance, but there's verbiage in the deed that said someday this particular sign could become a changeable copy sign. So again, I think what your all's challenge is do we stick with the 30%, which is the standard we have, or do you let the applicant go to some number above to allow the sign to be digital? And again, because that's one big panel, they need the 100% of it to all be a digital sign. Now they're not asking to go on the other side. This would just be one side of that V board type sign.
Okay. We'll listen to the applicant. Would the applicant care to speak to this?
Yeah.
My name is Sky Span. I'm with Lamar Advertising. So yeah, basically everything Mr. Hunter was saying, just that one side panel, instead of being the size it is now, it would be an 8% reduction of that. So right now it's a 10.5 foot by 22.75 feet board, and it would reduce to 10.5 by 21. So not by much, but it is a little bit, and it would be that panel. Everything else falls under the changeable copy under the ordinance, as far as there's not going to be anything flashing, nothing's going to be moving, and it would be every 8 seconds, but it would be an instantaneous flip, so it's not anything distracting or anything like that. It's an instantaneous flip. If you blink, you miss it. And so that's basically what we're asking for.
Okay, so how do you get by the 30%? If they say changeable signs should be 30%, why should we go to 100%? In my view, it was put in there for a reason. And to go outside of that, and the conditions that I spoke to Steve about, there's nothing, it is a billboard, but how is it there that 30%, just 100%? What is that justification?
Do you want to speak on that?
I don't mind speaking on that. Are you okay if I speak on that?
As long as you come up and state your name.
Absolutely. My name's Kurt Recker. I'm the general manager of Lamar Advertising across in Kentucky. And that's why we are asking for the variance. The standard on digital billboards in our industry, and as they're regulated by the state and other cities, are these specific sizes. This is the smallest size unit that we put across in other communities, very similar that we put in Frankfurt, and we just deployed one in Hazard of this size.
Have you put one in Woodford County?
What's that?
Have you put one in Woodford County?
No, this would be the first in Woodford County. That's correct. And so when you're looking at the aesthetics and the way the business, we work with small businesses, we work with nonprofits, we have an MOU that we've discussed. And I'm not sure if it's in your packet, but from a community benefit standpoint, we have emergency management that it ties directly in. So if there's an FBI alert, golden alerts, things of that nature, it instantaneously flips onto that digital to help display with that. We work with community leaders for emergency messaging, community events, and that's all described in that MOU as well. And when you're looking at the sizing, a 30% on that just isn't economically viable, and I really don't think it would look great from a community standpoint, having a big screen and then just a little portion of that flashes.
Okay.
Have you not done static and changeable signs and other, is it the one in Fayette County on Nicholasville Road? Is that one of your own?
Yeah, it's in Jessamine County.
Okay.
So we have 4 screens. Now those are a little larger format, what we would call digital bulletins. They're 10.6 by 36. This is, much smaller.
But part of it is static and part of it is.
Oh no.
I thought I saw some. Maybe I didn't.
No, everything we put up is full display.
Okay.
What you may have seen is we call them price packs. And we have done some price packs in Versailles before where ER wait times, or if there's a gas station, it'll just display that little bit. And you're talking, yellow color, larger pixel. What we put up are very tight pixel, 16 millimeter, really solid color, automatic dimmers that go down at night when ambient light reduces. And it's a really clean look. And when you see them, if you don't know you're looking at a digital, the way they are now, you wouldn't know they were digital until all of a sudden that flip. We just look at it as a more efficient way of changing the copy. Instead of sending guys out in a truck, climbing the sign, being down, and having them go like this and changing the sign a little bit, it's just a much more efficient way for us to change the copy on the sign.
Okay. Anything else? Questions from the board members?
What's that? Oh, you have the MOU. Okay. Well, I don't know if the MOU was supplied with in y'all's packet or not, but she has one copy here if you're interested.
I don't think it was. If any board member needed to see it, I do not.
I don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that would care to speak to this? Hearing none, we will close this hearing. I think before we take a motion, I think we need to discuss. I'd like to hear some thoughts before I share mine. Or I'll share mine, doesn't matter.
I'm somewhat reluctant to make a drastic change to, by granting this variance that could theoretically open it to other locations without having, some type of legislative change made?
That would be what I was saying. I think the way to do this would be through the ordinance itself,
Right.
to change that. I look at this, is that it was put in there for a reason. It kind of stands alone in that 5081C4, very distinctly by itself. Steve may know when this change occurred in here.
I do not know when the ordinance, the verbiage was in there, and I do not know if there had prior been a variance of this nature that you all have ever heard on that 30% number.
Well, I've been here 20-something years, and I've never heard one.
That's kind of,
But we also have never had an electric billboard, a solid billboard there. And this case is on its own, other cases don't make any difference. But I think to address the ordinance in itself would probably be a better way than for us to change it and maybe set precedent. Being the first, I don't want to set precedent here. We do the exceptions, not set precedent, would be my opinion.
I agree.
If there are other opinions, please share them, because I do want to get, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I just want to be sure we do it the right way down the line.
Yeah, of course, with that 30%, but I just don't know.
So, with all that said, if someone wants to.
I would like to ask our attorney just for his input.
I think that they have done the legwork of kind of showing where they're situated and why they're not a non-conforming use. I think that that's maybe something we can dismiss from our analysis of this. So the question then comes down to something which the chair pointed out, which is what are the criteria for variance? And this is not a narrow or shallow lot, so we have to ask, are there exceptional topographic conditions, or are there other extraordinary or exceptional situations on that property that justify this variance? The second half of it is a little more lenient and open. The strict application would cause practical difficulties or exceptional hardship. I think there might be a way to talk about those things, but it says that by reason of these exceptional conditions, there would be practical difficulties. So I think if you wanted to vote for it, that's the hurdle, is you would need to show exceptional conditions or extraordinary situations applying to this application.
Thank you.
So with everything being said, we will now seek a motion to approve or deny this dimensional variance.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to deny the request for 70% changeable copy sign variance on an existing billboard sign on the property located at 380 Douglas Avenue. Sufficient testimony has not been presented in this public hearing that the requested variance meets the criteria set forth in Article 4, Section 406 of the zoning ordinance and KRS 100.243.
If I could add to that, that the changeable copy regulation carries with it a much stricter standard. And while there could possibly be a variance granted from that standard, that per the statutory criteria, this is an electric billboard that would be the first of its kind in this county, and it would risk to change the essential character not only of the area but also of the county. Furthermore, the application did not describe any exceptional situations, conditions, or topographic conditions which justify the variance.
Yes, thank you.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there a second?
I second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of denying the application signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to that? Motion is denied. We will seek one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.